Dad, don't make things difficult for us. We're having fun with our parents. My daughter and her husband growled over the phone when I invited them over to celebrate Christmas with me. I sat silently at the Christmas table alone, and I didn't react angrily. Instead, I smiled, preparing things. They will regret their words and actions. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. I polish the last glass until the sheen runs like water, then set it in its proper place to the right of the china plate. Napkins are folded into fans, edges trimmed red. The roast rests warm in the oven. Mashed potatoes slicked with garlic butter sit as smooth as clouds. On the sill, a pecan pie has just come out of the tin. Its top a glossy dark brown, the smell of brown sugar tugging me back to years when the house was tight, but the laughter was wide. Porch lights blur like honeyed fog. The Timex on the wall ticks in small, even beats. I call Ava a second time. One ring, then her voice pops in fast, as if she only wants to hang up and be done. I'm busy at his parents' place. It's packed, Dad. You should eat first, okay? I made your favorites tonight. Road slick? I'll leave the porch light on. Just come straight in. On her end, there's a hush of voices, the clink of spoon on glass, and then a man's voice cuts in, plain and bare. Frank, don't put Ava in a spot. We've already set the table here. If you're lonely, bring that pecan pie over to 27 and everyone can have dessert. I hear a quick burst of laughter around whatever phone they put on speaker. My name slips out of Evan's mouth light as a coin, weightless. I swallow a strip of silence and keep my voice flat. I'm waiting for you tonight. Evan answers with that practiced politeness. Make it another time. The line goes dead. On my table, 2 candles flicker hard as a cold draft slides the length of the door seam. A text lands right after. The app lights up. 100 a water, tip for the servers. P.L.'s now. The note has a squinty smile tacked on. I sit at the head of the table like every year, watch PLS now blink, and feel my chest cinch. I picture the empty chair across from me, where Ava used to sit ripping gift wrap, eyes bright as the tree lights, and set it against the clink of glasses I just heard over their speakerphone. Something makes a small sound inside. Porcelain touching porcelain. Not shattering, but cracked. I get up and open the porch door so the cold can cut my face. Down the row, number 27 glows like a postcard shop. Evan's car noses to the curb, hatch pops, bags of food poke up like well-fed cats. Ava steps out and takes his arm, tilting her head so someone can snap a picture. I watch and feel like I'm looking at someone else. In that picture that's about to land somewhere, they might caption it, family. I close my door. The wind can't blow out another house's light, but it rings something loud inside mine. The phone buzzes again. A text. Dad, bring the pie over? Under it, a quick photo of their table corner. Red flowers, white plates, someone's hand lifting a glass. I pull the pie tin close. The top is still warm. I'd saved the prettiest wedge for last, the crisp edge for Ava. I type back. Pie stays here. I'm not bringing it over. I erase the half-typed, have fun. Rosa passes my yard, a paper sack from the market in her arms. She stops when she sees my table laid for 3. A place setting set, napkins neat, chairs pulled back ready. You expecting company? She asks softly, a shy shine in her eyes. It's cold tonight. Head on home and get warm, I say. I try to make the answer drift out easy, like white breath. She looks in, then at me, and nods. She goes on. I hear salt crunch under the heels of her boots. I sit again. The roast slices on the grain, tender and sweet, but the flavor slips by like a boat with no anchor. I bite a piece of bread, hear the crust scratch, then lay the knife down. I pour tea, hand keeping an old habit, pinch of cinnamon. Another cupboard in my head creaks open, heavy with the smell of cinnamon. The auto pay I've slung over my shoulder all this time. The thing I call the line. Money running on schedule each month to number 27. I remember them at my door, Evan's hand on my shoulder. Just the first few months, Frank. It stretched out like a half-finished stitch, tightening the more it pulled. I believed family helps family. So long I couldn't tell help from being taken as a given. The phone rings again. This time Evan calls outright, his tone the scrape of fresh paint on a bumper. What was that text? Bring the pie. Now. The house is full. Don't make us explain to everyone. No, I say, light and clear. I'm eating at home tonight. Something shifts in the space on his end. Evan laughs, sour. So we're being sensitive now? Listen, you don't want people thinking you're sitting alone. Bring the pie, then come over and relax. Don't make Ava feel guilty. She's not coming. That's fine. I'll still eat. Frank, you're impossible. Think about it. Who covered the long-term loan the first months? Who got you a deal on the roof? You owe us plenty. I hold quiet for a few seconds to steady my hands. What I owe my daughter, I say slowly, is the night she craved this food and I made it. The rest I call help, and help has an end. Tonight is the end. You're embarrassing me, Evan growls. The whole house is waiting on dessert. Stop being selfish. Selfish, I repeat, feeling the word grow edges. Selfish is telling someone to bring the pie and send the money while you keep smiling in pictures. He snaps the call off. I carry the trays into the kitchen, open the plastic lids, portion the food. The pop of each lid sounds like a sigh. I don't wrap the pecan pie. I leave it on the sill, the way people set a candle out front so travelers know where to turn back. No one turns back. I pull a small notebook from the drawer beside the stove. The cover's paint is scuffed at the corner. I write a few lines. Set 3 places. No one came. Called, heard glasses. Text demanded 180, did not send. 27 lit. I press the period a shade too hard. The ink feathers like a bruise. A little later, another alert opens on the screen. Their table photo has gone up. Ava smiling wide, shoulder to shoulder with the woman from his side of the family. Under it, a caption, grateful for a warm home. Hearts and confetti spill in. I read grateful and feel the words standing on someone else's side. I kill the screen, run my hand along the tablecloth edge, the rough weave dragging a straight line like a decision. I stack the utensils, wash each fork, let the water run in a single thread. The Timex keeps its beat. In the lower cabinet, the plastic case of paperwork shows the corner of an old sticky note. Autopay. I pull it out, flip through. Invoices, transfer confirmations. On one sheet, the black printer line pricks my eye like a thorn. Amount, $2,400. I set the paper down and hear its light thump, then shove the whole file deeper. My hand pauses on the cabinet lock. One image fills my head. A weeping supply line, drip after drip, harmless to the eye, softening the grain until the wood gives. I drilled that line myself, and tonight I realize I can turn the valve myself. Back in the kitchen, I pour more tea. The air curls around the porch and carries a snow salt smell and something that feels like regret. I try to remember the last time Ava called me dad in a full sentence. On my phone, her texts usually start, Frank, hey, close and far at once. I think of all the nights I stood in the rain at Home Depot buying odds and ends for 27. The late calls to come unlock their door because phones died. Little errands stacking up into one big story. I let myself become the help now button in their life. Out front, the yellow strings tremble. I step onto the porch again and look to the end of the street. Other people's houses are warm and true. Mine is warm too. Different. That difference, I need to remember it, not to stew, but to begin what I've put off too long, drawing lines. Not the kind typed loud online, but the kind you can touch. A water shutoff, a transfer toggle, a deadbolt. I blow out the 2 candles. Thin smoke curls, then thins. In the kitchen, only the Timex and the soft breath of the furnace. Tonight I'm eating alone. And tomorrow, if anyone asks, I'll say exactly 3 words. I still ate. Deeper than that, a new layer rises in my voice. The layer of someone who's learned that kindness has a limit, and you only learn it when the numbers stand up on paper. I lean on the counter, lay my palm on the notebook cover, the grit of the stock under my fingers like a switch. I've kept a light burning a long time. Time to snuff the extra one. The phone buzzes once more. Ava sends a line. Another time, okay. No emoji, no date, just a blank space. I don't answer. I set the phone down, go back to the table, and cut a slice of pecan pie. It's still good. I eat it slow, the way an old electrician checks each splice. No rush, no shake, no stray sparks. In my head, a sentence prints clean as a ledger line. It's time to close the valve. In the morning, I pull the plastic auto-pay case from the cabinet and drop it into a canvas tote. The porch air still smells like road salt. I head straight to the Greenbrier branch. Inside, the bank gleams like a glass box. Cleaner and toner share the air. Janelle, the manager, looks up when I set the case on the counter. I want to stop the automatic transfer, I say. $2,400 a month. She scans the file, then answers in the easy cadence of someone who's done this a long time. I'll need 2 original IDs, your signature on an EFT stop form, and if you want it flagged as customer initiated in the system, I'll note that too. I hand over my driver's license and veteran's card. She slides a stack of forms toward me. The blue tethered pen clicks under my fingers. I fill each box carefully, like I'm writing on a live line humming inside a wall. When Janelle hits print, the machine whines, pulls half a page, and stalls. Paper jam, she says with an apologetic smile. Maintenance was just here yesterday. She opens the lid and eases out a crumpled strip. I can give you a digital copy for now, but for the wet stamp and the stopped line in red ink, could you swing back to pick it up? I nod. Fine. And please add, customer initiated. She types the note, swivels the screen for me to see, and prints a temporary receipt. I'll call when it's ready. Back home, I put water on and set the case on the table. This time it's the phone. I call the internet and cable provider to cancel the secondary card and sever every service in my name at number 27. The robot voice drips each word. Please enter your PIN. I reach for the back of my neck, for the feeling of a number that used to be mine. Nothing. I open the drawer and dig through old sticky notes. A yellowed scrap is trapped under a pumpkin magnet. PIN. Found. I read it off. Thank you for verifying. Your request to cancel the subcard has been received. A transaction code will be emailed. I ask for written confirmation that the services at 27 are being removed from my account. The agent says they'll send an email and a reference number. Please add the note customer requested, I say. Keys chatter on their end. Added. My inbox blinks. 2 new emails. One with a title as long as a train car. One a bare string of numbers cold as steel. I take screenshots, rename the files by date and document type, and drop them into Linden Services, cancel, subcard, Xerox. I still keep old habits. I print a copy in case a phone dies at the worst moment. The pages pass through the printer, the smell of fresh ink fat in the air. I slip both into clear sleeves and label them with a marker. Subcard cancel and cable cancel. The phone rattles hard on the tabletop like someone knocking. Card got declined. What did you do? Ava's text, clipped, no emoji. Before I can type back, their car noses up to my curb. Evan steps out, coat open, and slaps the door with his palm. I crack it, leaving a strip. He plants his elbow in the jamb to keep it from closing. You're making me look bad, he says, voice low and hard. The whole group's waiting to pay at the restaurant. People are looking at me like I'm skipping out. I shut off the line, I say, sliding 2 confirmations from a sleeve. Here's the transaction code. Here's the email. Starting today, each person pays their own. You talk like you're the victim, Evan smirks. Who helped you clean that roof? Who found your plumber? You think you're noble, Frank? I'm your wife's father. I brace the door, keep my voice low. For years, I picked up what you called just to get started. If you want to use the word favor, favors are only favors if the receiver knows when to stop. Don't lecture me. He shoves the elbow in deeper. The door edge presses a red welt across the back of my hand. I lift the papers to his eye line so the porch light hits the black lines and numbers. These have signatures and timestamps, I say. Arguing at my door won't change them. Out by the street, Rosa is hauling her grocery sack past. She looks up on reflex. I see her face change when she notices Evan's elbow wedged in my doorway. Ava finally speaks, her voice rough. Enough, Evan. She catches his wrist and pulls him half a step back. Dad, can you just let it slide for a while? I've let it slide too long, I say. And while it slid, the line kept leaking. You weren't declined because of me. You were declined because of you. I say it slowly, not angry, like reading a conclusion. Next time you pay before you invite. Something quick and hot flashes in Ava's eyes. Shame, maybe. She opens the car door. Evan's arm drops. My door swings shut. The cold stays outside. I rest against the wood for a beat, then go back in. The kettle trills softly, almost urging. I pour tea, open the laptop, and set the scanner on the table. I scan the receipts and rename them the way I always do. Year, month, day, document, type. I jot a note in the book. Confrontation at the door. Witness, Rosa, key lines, everyone pays their own. And paper has signatures. I save the photo that happened to catch Evan's elbow in the door frame. No faces needed. The posture says plenty. The phone rings. Janelle. Stop by. Printer's back up. I've got your wet stamped forms and the branch seal ready. I take the case back to the bank. Janelle lays the EFT stop in front of me, stamped, and adds a short sheet. Bank manager note, stating the account was stopped at the customer's in-person request. No third party involved. Here, added customer initiated in the system like you asked, she says, pointing to a quiet line in the corner. Thanks, I say. Print me one extra. On the way home, the snow thickens again. Street lights turn the flakes to sugar. Inside, I spread everything on the table. EFT stop, Janelle's note, the 2 cancellation emails, the doorframe photo. I snap a full shot of the paper set just in case. The printer sputters out mid-page. I pull the cartridge, shake it, swap in a new one. The feed catches and hums back to even. I stack it all into a clear binder and label it. Packet number 1, Finance Your Services. The cover is lightly textured, the kind of surface that calms you like a freshly painted door under your palm. The window buzzes. Our block WhatsApp shows a pinned notice at the top. Block meeting at Maya and Collins, Thursday night. Neighbor courtesy, open for public comment. A paper door hanger swings onto my knob. Maya walks past, hooks it quick, and waves. Want a 3-minute slot? She asks. I nod. I'll bring paper. She smiles. At my place, folks listen best when there's paper. I slide packet number 1 into the tote. Top sheet, a yellow post-it. 30 days by signature. The Timex keeps its even beat. I brew another pot and remind myself to say nothing more tonight. Being old has taught me this. Anger speaks loud. Decision speaks small. The decision has spoken already, very small. Turn the valve. Before I left her counter, Janelle had pushed the stack back for one last pass. Next to the amount, please, initial so it's confirmed, she said. I put a small D beside 2,400, like tapping in a finishing nail. On the transfer address line, she corrected a typo I'd missed. I want it all exact, she smiled. I smiled back and felt something in me settle. The call center voice ends with, please stay on the line for a short survey. I hang up. I open the inbox, download the .eml files, check timestamps, make sure the transaction codes match what I saw on screen. I add to the notebook, EXIF metadata for screenshots saved. Folder, Shalinden services, or USB backup. Dry letters on the page, but I know what they are. Footprints. Footprints back to this spot if anyone asks why later. When Ava and Evan pull away, Rosa is still by the streetlight, arms around her groceries. You okay? She asks, careful. I'm fine, I say. Some things have to stop so other things can move. She nods, doesn't pry. That's enough, and I know I'll need someone who saw and didn't make it bigger. Before she turns, her eyes flick to the sleeve in my hand and land on the bold EFT stop. I don't tuck it away. At home, I take a black marker and write on the back of the binder. 72 months. Who initiated? It's not a charge sheet. It's a reminder that my kindness has a history, and histories come with numbers. I clip a yellow Post-it to the edge. 30 days prep template. Thinking about the block meeting, I can see Maya and Colin's living room like a small city hall. Nobody gets more than 3 minutes, and there's no mic for rumor, just paper and readers. By evening, as I skim the scans again, I rename a few files to make the logic cleaner. Add customer initiated to the end. Add signed to the stamped versions. I copy them to a small red USB and label it Linden Finance. The drive sits warm in my palm. I bump the space heater a notch, lean back, and hear the faint rustle of plastic from the document sleeves, like a small animal breathing steady. In that quiet, I understand something simple. If there's revenge here, it won't be loud words. It will be lines written down and kept. Before I kill the kitchen light, I stand at the sill where last night's pecan pie sat warm. The pan is empty. The brown sugar smell lingers. That's fine. I open the cabinet, pull another file, and slide it into the deep slot. The stacks look like bricks now. Set right, they'll make a wall. Not tall, but tall enough to keep off the rain. I lock the door and hear the bolt catch. Outside, Ava and Evan's engine turns over. They pull away without a horn. On the steps, their footprints cross over mine, then blur under the snow. I watch a moment, then turn inside. The pot holds half a kettle yet. Outside, the snow keeps falling, each flake with its own weight. I set the cream envelope on the counter at the post office, my block letters squared off. ATTN, right, 27 Linen CT. The clerk glanced once and shook her head. The letters are a little tight. ATTN is good, but write out Evan and Ava right, and make your return address bolder. This weight, she put the envelope on the scale. The needle tipped past the mark. Over a standard letter, let's switch to a large manila. Add extra postage. Certified mail? Certified and return receipt, I said. I want a signature. Do you want restricted delivery? Only that person can sign? I'll pay for it, I said without blinking. She nodded and slid over a block of forms. PS Form 3800, tracking, and PS Form 3811, the green return receipt card. I copied the address again, slower this time, letting each letter bite into the paper. She handed me clear tape. I sealed the flap and heard the clean rip. She date-stamped the 3800, affixed the barcode, and pushed it across. Check the names. On the 38111, she tapped a little box. Here, restricted delivery. I've ticked it. Return address is yours. Signature required. I signed the corner, a steady signature like setting a brick. The receipt printer whined and locked. Jammed again, she muttered, opening the lid to pull a wrinkled ribbon of paper. I stood still with the envelope in my hand and the warm smell of fresh stamp ink. Sorry, she said politely, then handed me a clean printout. The receipt with the tracking number and a fine line. Restricted delivery. Added. Want SMS and email updates? She asked. Write your info here. I did. A confirmation beep chirped. Leaving the counter, I slid the 3800 into a plastic sleeve and clipped the 3811 half outside, so I wouldn't forget there was a blank where their signature should be. The Weiss Markets lot was freckled with ice. I just nosed into a slot when a silver SUV blocked my bumper. Evan got out, door thumping shut. He came fast, tapped my hood with his palm. Open up. I lowered the window. Cold air spilled in. He leaned close. Family business doesn't need you broadcasting it up and down the block. You trying to smear me, Frank? I opened the door, stood square, and held out the manila. 30 days, it says so in here. 30 days what? He squinted. The anger had edges. Who pulled you along all these years? What about the debt you owe me in goodwill? I paid my child back, I said slowly, with her mother's blood pressure the day you signed a 72-month loan and called it a head start. I've paid. Don't play saint. He jutted his chin. You're lonely, so you cling. Don't make me lose face in this town. I'm not clinging, I said, voice flat. I'm letting go. You can be angry. Your signature is still on the old papers. You don't get to boss me around anymore. And I don't have to pay for you anymore. A cart rattled past. The woman pushing it glanced over, then at the envelope in my hand. Evan rose on his toes, eyes scouting the lot, then yanked the envelope, his fingers whitening on the edge. You want to fight? I want paperwork, I said. Not noise. I got back in, pulled the door shut. Through the glass, I watched him freeze a beat with that envelope. The mouth opens, closes, like someone swallowing a bitter pill. Back on our street, a white door hanger with a blue border dangled from my knob. Linden Student Block meeting, Maya and Collins. Neighbor courtesy, open for comments. A QR code below it led to the chat. I scanned it. WhatsApp opened to a tidy agenda. 1. Snow route. 2. Mailbox theft alert. 3. Neighbor courtesy. 3 in person, no names. I messaged Colin. Give me 3 minutes. I'll bring paper. Done. He came back almost instantly. At my house, paper speaks first. I screenshotted the agenda and filed it under Linden Block Agenda, screenshot PNG. In the kitchen, I laid the documents out like tools before a pipe repair. PS 3800 on the left, PS 3811 in the middle, and on the right, a photo of the envelope in my hand beside the car in the lot. A passerby caught in the corner to set the scene, and importantly, to show it was public. I set the scanner over the 3800. The lamp hummed, then jammed. A red light blinked. I opened the lid, eased the curled edge free, breathed out, wiped the glass, and scanned each sheet again. I renamed files as I saved them. 2024-12, demand $800, PG, 2024-12, demand yes, 38 woman pendings, JPG, hand off, JPG. The Linden demand folder started to feel like it had bones. The kitchen light flickered, then settled. A draft sneaked through the back door, salted with the smell of treated snow. I poured the rest of yesterday's Wawa coffee, took a sip. The bitterness tasted like the decision I'd made handing Evan that envelope. I opened the notebook and wrote, Post Office, certified plus return receipt plus restricted delivery. Weiss lot, exchange, lines, 30 days. I'm letting go. At the bottom, paper goes before explanation. I folded the book and slid everything into manila packet number 2. Demand letter, PS 3800, PS 38111, awaiting signature. Handoff photo, binder clip tight. I remembered the clerk checking my ID against the names on the envelope. Sign here too. The sender acknowledges responsibility for contents. I signed. And switch pens. Gel ink smears on manila. I picked up a cheap ballpoint at the counter. The line was thinner, but it bit in. She smiled. What's solid doesn't need shine. A small line, but I carried it like a living note. Sturdy doesn't have to be glossy. Out in the lot, before Evan grabbed the envelope, he leaned in and breathed a minty cold across my face. Don't stage a show. Don't collect evidence. People will call you the old man who makes everything big. Handle it in the house. I did handle it in the house, I said, eyes steady. Christmas Eve, I waited for my daughter. I called. You put me on speaker and laughed. That was your house. You always drag up the past, he waved it off. You think you're noble because you baked that pecan pie? I was noble because I kept my mouth shut while her mother was alive. I said, still even, each word with a corner. Today, I'm just putting words on paper. Back inside, the scanner was still moody. I tried compiling to a single PDF. The software spit, cannot compile document. I split the images, merged with a different tool. The file names went feral for a minute. I erased, reset, checked EXIF so the timestamps held. I printed a contact sheet to check sharpness. The bottom edge was soft by a line, so I stepped back one compression level and printed again. The printer thumped the table once, then smoothed out. These little stumbles didn't rile me. They sharpened the feeling that everything was slipping into its groove. The urge to call Ava twitched now and then, like a nerve. On the block chat, someone posted a photo of the cat at 29 sitting in their window. A few jokes followed. I typed, "Thanks," then deleted it. I don't need a crowd to witness my feelings. I need them to witness the paper. On the porch rail, the snow lay thin. I drew a straight line with my finger, then wiped it clean and left the rail flat. A USPS text buzzed, "Pre-shipment info sent to USPS," then accepted at post office. I set the phone down. My hand wanted to call Ava, to explain, soften a line. I pulled it back. Paper before explanation. The Timex kept time. I stepped onto the porch and watched the string lights down the block blur behind a mild snow. Somewhere, kids laughed. Someone called a dog. Ordinary sounds that know nothing about a letter running off to find a signature. The app blinked. The neighborhood chat admired the porch lights at 31. Someone dropped a tree emoji. I smiled, then saw a text from Maya. "Frank, Thursday 7. Put a water bottle on the table. Pull your packet at 90 seconds. Don't name names." "Understood," I wrote back. "I'll speak about financial boundaries and how to talk with paper." "Exactly the spirit," she replied. I checked the 3811 again. The little white signature box was still blank. I ran a finger across it and pictured the black line landing. Not because I prize someone else's signature, but because without one, the story gets told by mouth, and anyone can be good at mouth. I stuck a tiny post-it on the packet. Signature, Chucker day 0 of 30. Afternoon tilted. I checked the door hanger once more so the wind wouldn't steal it. It was still there, drifting a little, like a nod. Rosa passed by with celery under her arm. "Yesterday I saw," she began. "I know," I said, sparing her the rest. "Thank you for walking by." She smiled and her look felt like an invisible ink line on my 3811. Night fell. I squared the table. Packet number 2 sat flush to the edge, PS 3800 on top, ready to hold up. I laid a black marker beside it, cap already off. I washed the mug and killed the kitchen light. On the porch, the cold tapped my forehead like a clear hand. Another text. "In transit to next facility." I read it and nodded to myself. It's on its way. I won't chase it. I just leave the porch light on and keep my doorways glow steady. In bed before sleep, I added one line to the notebook. Day 1 of 30, no calls, no chasing. Let the paper run. I closed the book. The Timex ticked. I shut my eyes and saw the parking lot again. A manila envelope in the hand of a man who wants every story to stay words. I heard myself say, 30 days from now. And I knew the block would look exactly the same tomorrow, except a boundary had been drawn, thin as thread, tough as cable, and anyone who wants to cut it will have to read a line in bold. Greenbrier Bank is as bright as ever, smelling of glass cleaner and toner. I set a plastic sleeve on the counter. Janelle slides up her chair and plants both hands like locking the meeting in place. "You need a bank manager note confirming 6 months of customer-initiated transactions, right?" "I need it on paper with a seal," I say. "Okay, but to be precise, I need 2 things. A teller-printed statement for the most recent month and a fresh signature specimen. On the letter, fill purpose of letter, short, no emotion." I pull my wallet, swipe. The corner printer whirs out a thick ribbon of white. Janelle runs a finger down the page. "Here, the auto pay, $2,400. She draws a straight red line, then marks a few spots I deposited, withdrew in person. I'll add customer-initiated transactions, 6 months, and stamp the branch. For the signature sample, She slides over a form with a single blank line. I sign. Ballpoint bites clean. No bleed. Janelle snaps a photo, saves it to my file. When anyone asks, the system will show it this way. Transactions performed by the customer. No third party. Add one note at the bottom if you can, I say. Reason, establishing personal financial boundaries. No dispute. She looks up, weighs it. No dispute is fine. To avoid spin, I'll change family to personal boundary. Good. The bank manager note prints. Janelle stamps and signs. Wet ink leaves the familiar smell. I nod once. This sheet won't speak for me. It will say only its part. Outside, wind lashes the eaves. Rock salt ticks across the pavers. My phone buzzes. USPS email pops with a long subject. Attempted delivery. Weather delay. The status line says the carrier couldn't access the address. They'll try again when weather allows. I screenshot to Linden USPS tracking, delay PNG, then call. What note should we add? The voice asks even. Record weather delay due to objective conditions. I need that status as evidence. Don't auto-flip to customer, not available. Added. On next attempt, the carrier will update. I need an email confirmation with a ticket number. Sent. I shut the door. The threshold gasket is damp from blown snow. I wedge in a draft stop, the fabric rasping across the floor. On the Linden Corner sidewalk, Ava stands by 29's white fence, speaking low to two neighbors. I pass slow and catch drifted words under the wind. Forgetful, hot-headed, don't make a scene. Their eyes slide toward me, then away, trying not to be caught. A man later texts me, Frank, let the money stuff go. It's the holidays. I don't answer. I open my notebook and write, sidewalk at 29, 3 people, Ava uses forgetful, hot-headed. I don't argue with my mouth. I save my mouth for hot tea and let paper carry the hard parts. At Raj's grocery, the bell goes ding as he rings up customers. I wait out the line. Raj, I need a short statement that you've seen me check receipts, match prices, correct overcharges these last 6 months, sign it with contact info. I'll write it, he says, pulling letterhead. He prints tight. Mr. Frank Dalton routinely checks item prices, matches promotions, and has spotted $0.50 Y10 errors multiple times, communicates clearly and politely. He signs and adds a number. The back oven leaks toast aroma into the faint smudge of still wet ink. Thank you, I say. I'm not asking you to take my side. I'm asking for one short truth. Paper talks, Raj shrugs. My shop lives on paper. On the way back, I meet Rosa, celery, and a sack of oranges under her arm. I tell her, I'm collecting objective statements. I'd like you, if you're willing, to describe Christmas Eve. Who said what? Where? No judgment. She squeezes the handles. I don't want friction with Ava. She organizes things, fundraisers. I don't want to put her in a spot. I get it, I say slow. I'm not asking you to take a side. I'm asking for a neutral description. If you don't want to sign now, I'll send a draft. Rosa looks toward 27, their silver SUV dusted white. Give me the draft, she says quietly. I'll read. I hand her a thin envelope. If one word isn't what you saw, strike it. She nods, hugging the extra envelope home. Her eyes flicker like a lamp in wind, but still lit. In my living room, Paige, the paralegal Maya referred, spreads documents. She's brought a little printer, a toner brick, and a stack of labels. We'll tag exhibits consistently across all 12 packets, she says, quick but unhurried. A, bank manager note. B, USPS status. C, Raj statement. D, your ledger, the $2,400 auto pay, and your 72 months margin note. E, the 30-day demand you sent. Timeline on the front cover. The printer coughs out on page 3. Paige shakes the spent cartridge and snaps in a new one. Your covers are damp at the edges, she taps. I'll back them with fresh stock so they lie flat. I warm the manila by the fireplace. When I return, Paige has the first packet labeled. White labels, black type, straight as a rule. I added a set code Linden set and numbered 112. Good, and I say. On the timeline, let the numbers stand bare. $2,400 per month. 72 months in the margin, 30 days on the demand, no timestamps. Right spirit, she smiles. The Timex keeps time in here. It doesn't need to be on the page. My phone buzzes again. USPS emails the weather delay ticket with an ID. I forward it into Linden USPS and rename the file tracking.delay ticket. Paige slaps an Exhibit B label on the screenshot and the email. Objective, she says. Weather isn't on anyone's side, neither is this status. In the block chat, Ava posts a photo of shoveling her walk at 27. Caption, all parents have hard days. Calm is the best medicine. Hearts and hints below. I close the phone. Paige glances over. Want to respond? I'll let the documents speak. No one speaks for me, I say. Tomorrow I have 3 minutes. 3 minutes gets us from A to E. Paige nods and clips. The binder clip bites the manila with a tidy click, like a tiny lock. The stack lies flat, no curl. The printer drags the last page. The light flickers once, then holds. I line the manila packets in 2 rows of 6. The spines grow thicker in sequence, like a wall. I tape a big note on the box. Linden Set AE, 12 copies. Beside it, the door hanger invite. I pin it to the cabinet so I don't forget. New paper, new ink, and a hint of warmed covers make the room feel like a small shop. I heft the tote, handles hold. Paige hands me a marker. Initial the outer edge of each packet, so if anyone swaps, we know. I put a small D at each corner. Solid doesn't need shine, I say, remembering the postal clerk. Paige smiles, packs up. Tomorrow, 3 minutes. Water bottle on the table. Open the packet. Walk AE. No names. If they talk with their mouths, we answer with paper. I know, I say. Outside, the snow thins. The wind eases. I load 12 packets into the tote, zip the mouth, click the tab. The Timex in the living room keeps its steady tick. I take inventory, the door hanger on the cabinet, the uncapped marker on the table, the paper wall in the tote. The rumors are still running outside. In here, the paper's already in position. I turn off the lights. My shadow crosses the wall where Laura's photo hangs. I stop 1 beat and touch the wood frame. Tomorrow, I tell her softly. We let the paper go first. A salt snow smell threads through the door seam like a whisper. I slide the deadbolt. In the dark, the binder clips on 12 packets feel like they're holding something steady. The porch at 14 Linen CT smelled of cinnamon from the candle on the shoe table. People hung coats, stuck on name stickers. Colin stood at the door, clipboard in his left hand, agendas in his right. Snow plan, mail theft, then neighbor courtesy. 3 minutes each. I nodded and eased my tote so it rested against my ankle. Inside were 12 manila packets, A through E labels lined up straight as a ruler. The living room opened into the kitchen. A thick rug kept feet warm. On the shelf, a baked pasta steamed faintly of cheese. A spoon touched a glass. One quick king. Ava and Evan sat in the middle cluster of chairs, voices low, heads close. I chose the edge seat, half turned toward the window so the porch light fell across the tote's zipper. Maya clapped twice. Quick reminder, no proper names, no personal attacks. Everyone gets 3 minutes. If you need paper, let paper speak. A soft ripple of nods. I set my hand on the tote. The manila felt cool through the fabric. The snow plan passed in short statements. Who shoveled which a stretch? Who was buying extra salt? A few laughs about the dog at 19 eating a glove. Colin flipped to the next page. Mail theft alert. Please lock mailboxes. Paper rustled. The air was ordinary, friendly. Then he looked up. Neighbor courtesy, Mr. Frank, 3 minutes. A few doubtful looks slid my way. Evan raised one eyebrow, leaned back like he was ready to cut in. I stood, kept my eyes off him, and unzipped the tote. I'll be brief, I said, holding up a packet. About financial boundaries among relatives. No names. The paper's on the first page. I made the circuit, handing out 12 packets. The soft hiss of manila against manila threaded the room. Heads bent. On the cover page, the black type was clear. Exhibit D timeline, 2,400 month, 72 months, 30-day demand, certified. Below it, Exhibit A, bank manager note, customer-initiated transactions, 6 months. Exhibit B, USPS status, weather delay, tracking plus ticket. Exhibit C, Raj statement. Evan popped up as the packet hit his hand. This is private. You trying to shame me? Colin raised a hand, voice even. In my living room, everyone speaks for 3 minutes, with documented facts. Maya added, remember the no names rule. Let the paper speak first. I didn't turn to Evan. I nodded to Colin and set the last packet into the hand of someone by the kitchen. Back at my seat, I set a water bottle on the table, opened my own packet like a tool roll. I'm not asking anyone to trust me, I said. Just read the first page. A hush widened. In the next room, a Timex ticked, a spoon tapping a rim. Pages rustled. Someone skimmed Exhibit A and breathed in, ah. Another touched Exhibit C with a finger and read softly enough for the back row. Mr. Frank routinely checks item prices, spots overcharges, polite. Ava folded her hands, a social smile. Let's keep this neighborly. I think household matters should go easy. I didn't answer. I tapped the edge of my Exhibit B. USPS shows weather delay. When it arrives, it will say signature on file. Rumors don't have signatures. A few eyes lifted, then dropped to Exhibit D where the numbers lay still. 2,400 in bold, 72 months penciled in the margin, 30 days circled. From the back row, a man in a beanie raised his hand. If it's an emergency and family needs help now, what then? I can help, I said, with what I control and can receipt. Not a bottomless autopay. Boundaries keep affection longer. A middle-aged woman cut in. And the HOA doesn't handle private money, right? Colin nodded. Correct. This is courtesy. We're not adjudicating. We're agreeing on respectful paper-first behavior. Rosa by the window bit her lip and raised her hand. I'm not taking sides, she said, glancing at Maya like asking leave. Maya nodded. Just say what you saw. Rosa drew breath. Christmas Eve, I walked by 31. Table set, candles lit. No one came. Next morning, when I pulled my grocery cart past, I saw at 31's door a forearm braced against a closing door. A dark sleeve, she added, pressing the wood like trying to push it wider. The room's tone shifted, like someone had pulled the low EQ down. Evan changed posture, a ripple of a smile on his face. Ava slipped in. You misunderstood. Maybe the wind, or... Maya cut it tidy, not sharp. Here, we speak to what we saw. No judgments. We respect neutral description. A few people nodded. An older woman tapped the timeline and whispered to her neighbor. First page says 2,400. Evan raised his voice. He likes control. He forgets things. Lately he's... I didn't cut him. I flipped my packet and set 2 sheets on the table for anyone to follow my hand. Exhibit A, bank manager note. Customer-initiated transactions, 6 months. Branch manager's signature and seal. I lifted the other. Exhibit C, Raj statement, name and phone. Rumors don't have signatures. From the corner, Raj raised a hand. I'm Raj. My shop wrote that letter. Mr. Frank checks receipts more carefully than most. If a price is off, he points it out. Very calmly. Heads turned to confirm the speaker was Raj from the corner store. No one laughed. No one needed to. Evan flipped through his packet hard, as if looking for a hole. He started to rise again, but Collins simply tilted forward, still courteous. 3 minutes per person. If you want the floor, add your name to the sheet. 1 minute response max. Evan paused and set the packet down like something heavier than it looked. A boy darted from the kitchen. His mother tugged his hem. A spoon kinged once more, then stopped. The small noises reminded everyone this was a neighbor's living room, not a hall for shouting. A young man murmured to his wife, "I thought he'd be loud. Turns out, a lot of paper." The wife answered softly, "A lot of paper, but in the right places." I twisted the cap back on my water. "If anyone needs extra copies, I have the master file," I said. "Once signature on file updates, Exhibit E will be marked signed. All 12 match." Maya asked, "Will you post to the group?" "I won't," I said. "If you need it, read it. I won't argue in text." Colin glanced at the wall clock and closed the item with one simple sentence. "Our block honors boundaries. With money, respect the paperwork." Maya drew the mic back. No applause, but the silence held people's spines straight. A young neighbor asked, "What happens when the signature on file comes in?" "I slide it into the packet," I said. "All 12 match. Anyone can read. No one needs to hear me." Another neighbor squared her packet and said quietly, distinctly, "I owe this house an apology for assuming." No one looked anyone in the eye. People did what needed doing: sip water, fold paper, adjust their own thoughts. Colin moved to the last agenda item, porch lights and trash pickup schedule. No one had much left to say. Pens squeaked faintly as people marked dates. Maya did a lap collecting the sign-in sheet. I asked low, "Mind if I snap that? So I remember who was present when the papers were read?" She nodded, holding it flat for my photo. "Just to file, not to post." "Deal." "I don't post anything," I said. "I let paper sit." An older man touched my shoulder and spoke low. "I'm a father too. Boundaries sometimes keep kin." I nodded, nothing more. People stood almost together. Chairs drew across the rug with a soft line of sound. Someone poured more water. Someone lifted the baking dish back to the kitchen. Ava shrugged on her coat and turned to me. "Dad, how hard do you want to make this on us?" The sugar was gone from her voice. "I don't want to make anything hard on anyone," I said, keeping the tote in hand. "I want no one making anyone else's wallet easy." Evan started to speak, but Colin shook his head once. "This item is over." 4 words, enough to loosen the knot. By discipline, not volume. At the door, a thin draft moved. Maya eased the door nearly shut and stood beside me with a teacup. "You did right," she said low. "In my living room, paper is respected." "Thank you," I said. "I just worry noise will break what needs keeping." "You chose silence in the right places," she smiled, then went to hand out napkins to the kids. Colin lifted a small trash sack to the stoop. "Exhibit D, the 72 is what?" "A margin note," I said. "When needed, anyone can read the context." "Enough," he nodded. I stepped onto the porch. Cold hit like a cool towel against the brow. The step light cut passers-by into thin slices of shadow. The cinnamon followed me to the rail, thinning. My phone buzzed. USPS. Delivered. Signature on file. I stood still and let those 4 words drop to the bottom of my chest like a pebble into a pond. I texted no one. I just opened my tote, pulled my packet, and wrote one more line on the edge with my marker. Demand, signed. I stepped down. Beside me, Rosa zipped her collar higher and looked at me without needing words. "I'll sign the description," she said very softly. "Not for you, for the paper." "I know," I said. "Thank you for looking before speaking." We both nodded. One nod for the paper, for the living room that had just witnessed, and for the boundary redrawn without anyone having to shout. Far inside, a spoon chimed one last king, a small period at the end of an evening that needed no applause. Chapter 6, Conditional Forgiveness. My phone still showed the last screen. Delivered. Signature on file. I left it face up by my packet. The marker lay uncapped. A small hash mark went in next to demand, signed. There'd been no applause last night. But the room's quiet had followed me home. People read, didn't roar. The paper spoke. No one spoke for it. Morning, my mailbox thumped. A thin envelope through the slot, utilities, and a late Christmas card. On the table, the laptop blinked. Ava, Dad, we want to make this right. I'm sorry we let it go this far. Could we come over to talk? We don't want the neighbors to misunderstand. I read it once and didn't answer. I put on tea, the leaves rose clean. The Timex ticked, but the house's footsteps sounded different. Lighter, as if someone had set a suitcase down. I pulled out the folder, Linden Conditions, made last week. One file waited. Letter of Conditions, v1.docx. I renamed it Letter of Conditions, Final PDF. I wrote the opening line, forgiveness with conditions, not a guarantee. Under it, 4 plain terms. Repayment. A schedule to repay any off-plan support, if any, by monthly receipts. No autopay. Transfers labeled repayment. No contact for 30 days. All contact for the next 30 days via a single email. No drop-bys, no sudden calls. All messages with red receipts. Future boundaries. Any support, if any, flows through specific invoices, not wallets. There is no default dad pays. Close out. Terminate all prior authorizations. Acknowledge receipt of the 30-day demand by signature. Commit not to reestablish auto pay or equivalent behavior. I added a closing line. If you want to make it right, begin with your signature. No pretty promises. Sign the last page. To the right, an empty box for 2 signatures. Below that, a small optional field. 1-sentence note, if you must say one thing. I didn't need speeches. If they needed to speak, 1 sentence would do. I emailed Ava back. We speak on paper only. Attached is the letter of conditions. If you agree, print, sign, scan back. If you need hard copy, I'll send certified. For 30 days, this email is the only channel. I hit send. The button lit and went out, like a small lamp. By noon, the snow had stopped. I wiped ice from the porch rail. Rosa crossed over with the envelope I'd given her. I read it, she said, and I'll sign. She handed me the witness statement. Even script, short lines, table set, no one came. Forearm braced the door. I slid her the marker to initial the bottom margin. She signed. I snapped a soft photo, no flash, saved it as Linden Witness, Rosa, signed.jpg. I don't want anyone put on the spot. Rosa glanced toward 27. But brief truth is needed more. I know, I said. Thanks for seeing first, then speaking. She nodded home. One more brick set in the wall. Paige texted, 15 minutes and I'm there. Label add-ons. I clicked on the desk lamp. She arrived, peeled off gloves, and unpacked a mobile scanner. Exhibit F, Rosa's statement, signed, she said, sticking a label and clipping. Exhibit G, USPS, signature on file, screenshot, she added, sliding in the printout. I handed over the photo of Rosa's signature. I'll append it after the PDF, she said. And Ava's email? Paige asked. I sent the letter of conditions, I said. 30-day no contact. Right tempo, she nodded. When they return it, we stamp it accepted. She squared the totes stacks. Keep the tea in the air. Easier to breathe. Afternoon, my inbox pinged. Evan. One line. This is humiliation, Frank. I leaned back and set my palm on the flat table. I didn't reply. Another email blinked in from Ava. We'll sign if you remove the 30-day no contact. I want to come talk in person. I drafted, no contact keeps words from erasing paper. 30 days are to cool down and do right. Item 2 is non-negotiable. If you don't agree, choose certified. I added one line at the end. Paper before explanations. I sent it. No exclamation points. Near dusk, a car stopped at the curb. I didn't go out. The bell rang. Once. Twice. I opened the porch cam. Evan stood with arms folded, knit cap down, looking into the lens. No Ava. I pressed talk. Evan, email only. He looked up. You doing this to parade us some more? So no one edits signatures with their mouth, I said. Back to email. He laughed once and stepped back, pulled out his phone. You win, he said to the air, then walked off. I killed the feed. His boots ground the thawing snow on the steps, each grind driving the no contact deeper. I printed 2 hard copies of the letter of conditions, clipped them to stiff boards, and labeled them for certified mailing. On the cover, I wrote 4 short lines like breathing cues. Conditional forgiveness. No re-guarantees. Single email channel. Invoices speak for people. I filed them into a fresh packet. Linden conditions, LOC, final sign. When returned. On the credenza, Laura's photo caught the porch light. I laid my hand on the frame. We're not closing the heart, I said quietly. We're closing the wallet. Next day, Raj slid his counter window. You forgot a receipt. On the slip he'd typed, witness confirmation, available by phone. I smiled thanks. He jerked his chin toward the houses. Everyone's talking about last night. They say you were steady. I just chose paper, I said. Paper doesn't yell. People only yell when they don't have paper. Raj winked. Mid-afternoon, a PDF arrived. Letter of conditions, signed PDF. Ava wrote a few lines. I've signed. I accept email only for 30 days. Repayment on the 15th each month. I'm sorry this reached the neighbors. Below was Ava's signature, hard at first, then softer. The line for Evan was blank. 3 minutes later, a second email came, shorter, signed. The attachment held both signatures. I zoomed in, read the pressure, compared to the old demand signature. No guessing needed. It was his. I forwarded it to Paige, accepted, add Exhibit H. She replied with a thumbs-up image. Toward evening, I sent a short acknowledgement, signed copy received. 30-day no contact effective today. Repayment schedule, 15th monthly. If late, status flips to breach. I attached a blank invoice template and noted all amounts begin at 0. We won't relitigate the past. I didn't preach. I set signposts. Dusk. Rosa knocked. I wanted to hand deliver, she said, lifting an envelope. The hard copy of her signed statement, plus a small note. I'm not choosing sides. I'm choosing a way for the block to keep living together. I'll keep your words plain, I said. No bold, no underlines. Paper, she smiled. It weighs itself. That night, I rebuilt the Linden set, now with exhibits F, G, and H. In my notebook, I wrote 4 lines as clean as the morning. Paper before explanations. No contact protects safe quiet. Support flows through invoices. Wait the full 30 days before more talk. My phone buzzed. Ava. Thank you, Dad. 3 words. No emoji. I didn't reply. I poured more tea and sat a while longer, listening to the warm air moving through ducts like a clear stream. Close to midnight, I opened the back door and looked at the leftover snow. Porch lights up and down the street painted small gold squares on the white, neat as labels on packets. I remembered the postal clerk's line, sturdy seldom shines. Today's forgiveness wasn't shiny. It was a PDF with signatures, a timetable, and a blank note field for 1 sentence if needed. Say less to hear more, to hear actions. The last morning of this paper week, I brought the binder to the table. I labeled the spine, Linden, Public Justice, Closed. I didn't lock the cabinet. I slid it onto the shelf beside Laura's album. The paper wall was up. The room didn't feel heavier. It stood like glass, visible enough to make people slow down. A message from Maya pinged in the block chat. Thanks, everyone, for keeping discipline last night. Neighbor courtesy works when voices are soft and paper is weighty. A row of thumbs up. No names. None needed. It was all on the first page. I blew out the last cinnamon flame. On the wall, Laura's picture glowed, not triumphant, just at ease. I set the little Timex ahead a notch. The hands ticked quietly. I told the room and myself, We don't hit back with noise. We answer with paper and with conditions that make people walk straight. If you enjoyed the story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about it in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left.